Hello people of the web. In this video I'm going to showcase and explain how to build a mob farm that I've used for a long time and has served me well. This is only my second tutorial, so feedback is always appreciated, and please be sure to check the description for amendments and info. Oh, chicken jockey. My first tutorial was for a mob farm that used no redstone dust that I designed primarily for my skyblock world. This, however, does have some redstone, but not a lot. In fact, all of the redstone can be seen here. Pretty simple. This farm spawns creepers, zombies, skeletons, spiders, and the occasional witch. There are many different ways to build a generic mob farm, and this is just one. So by all means, have a look at a few different ones and decide which one suits you best. I personally love this style because of the balance between simplicity and efficiency. Now, of course, the rates will be boosted here because, well, things can't spawn anywhere else in this world, so I'm getting the entire mob cap in this little box. But it works pretty damn well. And of course, you can build it anywhere, just the efficiency will improve as you light up caves around. I have two full models. One is this beautiful white box, which occasionally gets mobs flushing out the bottom, and the other is over here made of glass, which obviously doesn't spawn anything, but does allow me to show you how the design works. Essentially, all we've got is a number of spawning platforms with water flushing mobs out through the nozzle in the bottom so that they land on those hoppers down below. Now, if we go up to the top and have a look at the redstone, you'll see how simple it is. So it's a simple etho hopper clock with items going back and forwards between these two hoppers. Once all of the items come into this hopper, you'll see that the piston fires and pushes the redstone over, therefore opening this trapdoor and releasing the water. Now, with the water going out equally in both directions, it fills every layer of the farm and flushes all the mobs out. It's pretty simple. With the water flow being on top of the mob farm, this will probably be the last thing you build, but just so you're aware, these are all the parts you need. 2 comparators, 2 hoppers, 2 redstone dust, a redstone block, and 2 sticky pistons. You'll notice that each of the layers are exactly the same to each other, so theoretically you could build this as tall or as short as you like. You just need to take this as a model and then multiply it up. Now, the most complicated thing to discuss, actually let's put this into peaceful mode and get rid of all these mobs and clear all these entities. Done. So this shape here of hoppers exactly lines up with the grid above. However, there is a chance that mobs drop here and entities fall off to the side, or drops fall off to the side. So while you'll catch most of the stuff just with these hoppers, you will lose some things just to the edges, in which case you might want to do a bigger set of hoppers like this. So obviously the green glass signifies the hole up top, and then these hoppers around it just grab any excess that fall off to the side. So you can do that. It does cost a bit of iron, or you could do something like this, which would just require a hopper minecart to go in. And so any mobs fall on here, you end up with items sitting on top, and then the hopper minecart comes by, picks everything up. It's a pretty straightforward hopper minecart unloading system, but if you want to rebuild it exactly like that, feel free, just pause the video. Now for the unloading system, again, very basic. You have a hopper feeding into a chest at the side, comparator reading off of it, meaning if something's in that hopper, it stops the minecart. So just for test purposes, let's throw, there, have some spruce wood. That'll go round, goes onto the hopper, and then while there's things in this hopper, minecart stays there. Yeah. Simple. One thing to be aware of is if mobs spawn on the bottom layer and they have something like feather falling, there is a chance they can survive the drop. So you can end up with mobs standing on these hoppers, in which case you probably don't want this open to the rest of your base, just in case that happens. Now, what I tend to do is either enclose it or have it in a separate room, or just a tube around the bottom few blocks with glass. So if you built, let's go over here for example, if you built up 2 blocks around it, nothing can get out, so you're relatively safe. The other solution that I've used, particularly on the Lyfcraft server lately, is moving those hoppers down 1 extra block so that we can have soul sand on top and wither roses. So if anything does survive the fall, of course they're standing wither roses and will take damage from it. So any mobs that land here, if they don't die from the fall damage, they will die from the wither damage. So you've got a few different solutions for collecting stuff. I tend to go for just using hoppers, but everyone's different. Now I've just placed these 4 glass blocks to signify the middle of the drop. Now from the hoppers, I think we want to go up 24 blocks. Let's test it. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 25 is level with the floor. So you go up 25 blocks from those hoppers, and then we can build our platform. I would suggest putting something in the middle here, just because it's kind of handy to show where the middle is and not fall off. Because when I've built this in the past, plenty of times I've dropped down there, and it hurts. Next thing is to explain the size of this platform. Essentially, all we've done is built a 20 by 20 block around that little drop hole, and then on each of the corners we've got these little 2 by 3 squares. Now they can either be on the backs or the sides. It doesn't technically matter, but you will want to have them opposite to each other. So you wouldn't want one here and then one off on this side. You want it symmetrical. Just makes it easier when you get to the top. Although technically it is possible to put these on the sides, but you'll have to figure that out yourself because I'm not explaining it in the video. Tough. Once you've built your base platform, what you'll want to do is decide how tall you want to make this. Now, each layer is 4 blocks tall. So you can do a whole thing that's 4 blocks and then a roof, or you can do something that's a little bit taller. Obviously, if you're putting a roof on top of this, it would be 5 blocks with the roof, and then 9 blocks for 2 layers, 13 blocks, 17 blocks, 21 blocks, 25 blocks, depending on how many layers. And then we just need to allow for 3 blocks of space above to fit the water flowing and the redstone. I'm a little bit terrified of doing this in case I get it wrong. Oh, I didn't get it wrong. So I'm just gonna make it 4 levels tall because, well, it seems like a reasonable compromise. Now you might choose to do this as you go. I'm doing it at the end just because it was easier for me to then demo what I'm doing for you. So in each of the 4 corners where you got these 2 blocks, you want to just rip these out so you've got a clear view going all the way from top to bottom. I'm going to show you this for 1 layer or 1 corner, and you can copy it across to all 4. We'll want 1 block level with the floor above at the back, and then 1 halfway up in the front, like that, going all the way up and in all 4 corners. So again, just to show you, 1 there, 1 there. The reason this will work is because water flows down onto this block and it can travel both to the back and to the front equally, so it will split and do both. And we use that for the water for the next layer to go off the back and down and feed that, and the water off the front to wash out this layer. Now that we've got the corners in place, we'll want a 7 wide strip there and then just go diagonal. So 7 across, 7 down, and then join them up. Like that. It's handy that I've used iron blocks because, well, you should be able to count anything you're unsure of. And just repeat that in all 4 corners. Once you've got all the corners in, you should notice the gap between the stages is 4 blocks. If it's not, double check everything before you continue. Definitely double check everything. Now, you should do this on all of the layers, but I have commands, so I'm going to cheat. And 5 seconds later, I've finished all those other layers. So let's go on to the top. We'll want to fill this in, although you might want to keep a note of where the middle is, so I'm just going to place 4 blocks there for reference. And then we'll head over to the corner and do our magic. We want to link all of the corners up to a single water source. The easiest way to do it would be to link up the ones on the longest edges first, and then we'll go from there. So I'm just building a straight line. I'll show you in a moment. And with those channels in like that, you should have something looking a bit like this. Now I'm going to cover up this block Not because it's a problem. I just rather close it in because the water's going on this block and then splitting either way. You might want to do the same. It's up to you. It's not necessary. I just choose to because it looks tidier. Now we're going to work on the central channel. Now, obviously, this is an even number build, so we're not going to get it perfectly center. So we're just going to run through one side. Doesn't really matter which side. Just pick one. Now we're going to work on the rest of the redstone before, I say the rest of, we're going to work on all of the redstone before we work on the water. So from here, this middle bit, we'll want to build this up to be 3 tall, and then we can figure out the redstone. So on this side, we're going to place 2 blocks, and that's just so I've got something to work on. We'll want hoppers, comparators, 2 redstone dust, and 2 sticky pistons. Now with these 2 extra blocks I put down here, I'm just going to put 1 hopper down. Then you want to shift click so you can point the other hopper into it, break the original hopper, and then replace it so that the 2 hoppers are pointing into each other. Then what we need to do is place a block on the ground either side of those hoppers with a comparator reading out. And you place 1 block on the edge of that comparator. You can either build it up like that, or if you crouch by holding shift and click, it just places it on the edge of that comparator, which you can do. It's just a very small hitbox. 1 redstone dust on top of each of those blocks, and then if we stand here, we can just about get the hitbox for the redstone dust and place that there and that there. Then the only thing left is to put a redstone block in there and something in these hoppers. Now what you put in the hoppers will change how long a cycle is. I typically just use a stack of things, but if you wish to, you can use more, less. We're going to put a stack, although it's probably best if I put my redstone block in first. Yep, see, even I make mistakes. Then again, I don't think anyone was under the illusion that I knew what I was doing. There. So now we have an ether hopper clock. Let's work on the water. Now the way this system works is by moving that redstone block back and forwards, it will open or close a trapdoor. So let me just pop this in and then we can show you. If I pop that trapdoor there, as this comes back, which I can speed up if I take those out, it closes the trapdoor so that if we had water in there, it couldn't flow out this way. Open and close. Let's pop these back in, back to slow the clock, and I'll show you how to build the channels. The important thing to remember is that water will always flow to the shortest route. So if this was waterlogged here, once that flicked across and the door opens to let water out, the water will get to this point and then look for its shortest route downhill, which would be this direction and this direction, and we'd get nothing to the right side. So what we want to make sure is that we're traveling equal distance in both directions. Now, if that's the source block, this can only travel 7 blocks before it ends, so we need to go 6 blocks, otherwise the water will end on the edge of a block and not flow over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the water will drop down. Now you'll notice that that side is 2 away from the channel and this side is only 1. That's okay. It doesn't look symmetrical, but it can't do because unfortunately, well, we need it to go the same distance both sides from a single block on an even build. That's all right. Now, once it drops down, it can travel another 7 blocks, but we want to do 6 so that it has a chance to flow over the edge. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then all we need to do is close in the channel. So, like so, and like so. And we just need to repeat that on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And close it in. Then all that's left is to close in this channel at the top, and then we can test it and see whether Clever Clogs here, who's trying to show other people how to do things, can do it right himself. Especially as this is my design. Be a little bit worrying if I mess it up, but hardly surprising. Shift click. Let's see. So it splits equally and splits equally. Perfect. If I do F3N, I'm in spectator mode now, and we can fly into this area and see the water nearly... Oh, I left the block in the corner. Just that one there. And I dare say I've done that on multiple layers, despite me advising you not to do that. See, even I make mistakes. And if I make mistakes, don't be worried if you do. It's all fixable. Looks good. Just check if I've done that multiple times or just on one layer. Oh, done it multiple times. Well, that's embarrassing. But understandable, because what I did was duplicate the bottom layer to be the second layer. And of course, this bottom layer, well, it's solid underneath there. Oops. And in theory, that'll work. Let's see, so water's coming in again. It should flow. I didn't fix this one. All fixed now. And I blame that mistake on doing things in creative. You shouldn't have that issue if you follow my instructions. Which I technically didn't do. And now we have a working mob farm. Simple. I regularly make content, often relating to Minecraft, so if you're new to the channel, please consider checking out my other videos or consider subscribing here or following me on Twitch. Hope this tutorial has been of use to you. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye now.